Alright guys, in previous class we struck up in somewhere where we were trying to deploy on Tomcat server using our Maven server, but it couldn't happen due to uh, execution of wrong command. So in this class, I'm quickly going to show you how we are going to deploy it from the Maven server to Tomcat server. For that, I'm just going to my Maven server. This is my Maven server. I just logged in, and this is my Tomcat server. So I would like to deploy on my Tomcat server from my Maven server. For this, we need a web app application because I want to deploy a web-based application on our Tomcat server. For that, we have already couple of projects. I'm just removing these projects and going to reconfigure it one more time. So now we don't have any projects at all. We are going to create a web-based application. So for that, you know that we need to execute mvn command. So mvn followed by archetype. So we are going to generate an archetype. We are just generating an archetype. Now it is going to ask us that, it is going to list out all the templates which are available uh, in the Maven repository to create new projects. So if you do remember, we were searching for the web app application. So in previous class, we have executed 1599, and it may change depends upon the whenever they are going to add new templates. That's why yesterday or in previous class it was showing around 500 something. Now it has been changed. So better to we are going to search for. I'm just canceling it. We are going to search for the our Tomcat archetype. So grep. I'm just pulling the name of the our archetype. So web app archetype Maven. It takes into the this is the one Maven archetype web app. That is the one we are trying to install. We just grab it from here. You can see here this one. While executing our command directly, we can specify -d option with this. It will just create it. So now we are just grepping it. So this is the one, right? Maven archetype web app, and these two are not what we are looking. We are looking for the Maven web-based project. So this is 1610 in today's class. I mean to say by today. So they have updated. Again, I'm going to execute the Maven archetype generate. It is going to display again all the templates. We'll give our template name as a 1610. Okay. Now in this also again there are different versions. Uh, that is 7. Okay, 7 is the latest one, and prior to that one we have the alpha versions. Okay, so nothing but it is not fully what I can say fully developed. It will work, but some of the features doesn't work. Something like that we are going to call it as a beta versions. Maybe it could be the same thing. Sorry, we are going to use the option 7, or else we can leave it as a default. Next, define the value of the property of group ID. So group ID we should specify. Group ID usually the company name followed by the project name. In our case, our company name is in.galaxy. It is in reverse, and also the project name. So in this case, we are going to call it as a web app project. So I'm just giving it as a web app project, or else it is something related to projects. Okay, maybe custom client name we can give. If it is a Uber related project, I can give Uber. If it is related to the Uber. If it is related to the Ola, I can give the Ola related. But for just as a naming convention, we are doing a web app based project. So we are giving web app. Now artifact ID. So artifact ID nothing but a project name. What is the project name you would like to give? I can give any name. So I'm giving web app project. I can give any other name as well. So it is going to create a folder called web app project. Under that, it clones all the template. Next, snapshot version. What is the name you would like to give in the snapshot? So I'm fine with the 1.0 snapshot. So it creates the snapshot with that name. And all this information is tracked under pom.xml. I hope you know. So next thing is package name. Package name we are just giving the as it is as a group ID. So it will take the package name with that and it displays. I'm going to record all this information in your pom.xml. Is this fine for you or not? So I'm saying yes, I'm fine with that one. So why? To build successfully. So now what happens? It cloned the template onto my local system successfully. Let me list out it. You can see here the project name web app project. This is the artifact ID we have given. And if I go inside to this one and clear the screen, ls, if I see there is a pom.xml as well as src is there. I can just list out with the tree. You can see here pom.xml and the src folder. If I open the pom.xml, you can see the what and all plugins are required for this one and the information which we have tracked. Group ID you can see here in.veloxy.webapp and artifact ID web app project snapshot versions. This is the one and package it is a where because it is a web-based application, but it is going to take the whenever it is creating a package name, it takes the this one and this one. Sorry, this one and this one if I am not wrong. And remaining all are properties which are required because it is a template as I said, right? So developers are going to use these templates according to their necessity. All right, now what we can do is we can just build quickly. Clear mvn install. Okay, so or else mvn package I can give mvn package. So we are packaging the code which we have downloaded and I have already executed package, so it already downloaded list of the prerequisites for the uh, to build this project. I mean to say third-party libraries. That is, it's quite quick. And if I do clear and ls, so earlier we were having pom.xml and src. Now a directory called target has been created. Under target directory you have again multiple folders, that is maven, archiver and web app project. Under web app project it cloned the code what is there. Okay, so index.jsp, same thing, index.jsp, and the var files you can see here web app project.var. This is the var file it has been created, and this var file we should deploy in on the Tomcat server, nothing but in this server. Okay, so to deploy on Tomcat server, we need to update our pom.xml as well as the servers, settings.xml in our local repository. So that we have already discussed in our previous class, but anyway, quickly I am going to edit our pom.xml. Mm, yeah, pom.xml. So let's go and edit pom.xml. So we need to install the plugin which can deploy the code. Okay, so I'm removing everything whatever is there because we don't need all this stuff, and we have updated the code in our GitHub repository. So let's go and grab that one. Okay, so this is the repository we are using. Under this one we have maven. Under maven, how to deploy var file on the Tomcat server. And if you see the instructions, so we need to update. First thing is we need to download our archetype. We have downloaded it. Then we need to update our pom.xml. So this is the code we should update here. It is not Tomcat 8. Sorry, I need to update it. It is Tomcat 7. So let's modify this one according to our server information. It is 7 and Here we need to update with our server name. So our server name we know already. What is the target server name? This is our Tomcat server. I can take the DNS name or else I can take the IP address, but I prefer to use the DNS name. I will just quickly run this one. If I give 8080, I don't think so it is going to run because I haven't started my services. I'm going to quickly start the services on the Tomcat server. So Tomcat services, to start, we need to go to OPT where we have configured our Tomcat. Under OPT, we have this folder. Under this folder, again, we have bin directory. Under bin, we have a script called startup.sh. So currently it is in stopped state. If you want to check, you can clear the screen. ps-cf grep Tomcat. If you search, no services are running with the name of Tomcat. So ps-ef is a process table. Check for any services running with the name of Tomcat. Okay, nothing is there. And also netstat minus tulpn. This will tell you that what and all services are running on your system. There is no service running with the port number 8080 on this system. So we are quickly starting it. So // startup.sh. So if we start it, if I check for the process table, this time there is a service Apache Tomcat is running and also netstat minus tulpn. It tells that there is a process which is listening on port number 8080. That is a Java based project, sorry, application. Now if I refresh it or if I execute it, it is going to work, right? So now we are going to deploy it. I hope you know you need to log in over here. So I can log in as a admin or else with the Tomcat username as well. So we have already configured a couple of applications. This time we are going to configure the instead of web-based web app project, we'll configure with some other name anyway. So now go to our code. So we need to give the our URL of our Tomcat server. So I'm removing the existing one and URL of the Tomcat server till here is sufficient. Then what is the uh, name you would like to create in the target system? Nothing but here. Just now we have seen the project names, right? All these are the project names. So slash is there, docs are there, examples like this, different projects are there. We should go with the one of the project names. So I'm going to name it as a Hello World web app. Okay, let it be the same name because we don't have any application with this name. Hello World minus web app. So once we deploy it, it is going to create that particular name. So let's copy this one into our pom.xml, which we are trying to update it. So here we need to create it. I to insert mode. Anyway, it is in insert mode and okay. So now we have copied or updated that. Use a plugin to deploy our Tomcat server, that is Tomcat 7 plugin we are using. And also this is the target server name, and on target server name we would like to create this folder, right? Let's save this one. And now we should provide the credentials of our Tomcat server. As we discussed, the credentials are stored under .m2. So let's go to our home directory, nothing but tilde, nothing but it takes us to into our home directory, and pwd root user, we have logged in as a root user, and root user home directory is /root. Under this we have uh, a directory called .m2. Go inside to .m2 and va settings.xml. By default this file doesn't exist, but we have already created in previous class, so it is there, and this is the code we need to update it. So we are using the deployer user and a deployer as a password. Now we have saved it anyway, nothing to change over here because same users we are using. And again go back to our previous directory. So our previous directory is /opt. I don't think so /opt. In the current working directory itself, I have cloned the web app project. go inside to web app project. Now we are going to deploy it. So to deploy, we need to execute a command called, let me see if any other steps did I missed. So next thing, update our servers.xml, and this is the command to deploy. So far we were installing package or install commands. Now we are using the deploy. So while using deploy, use this plugin. So plugin colon goal, that is how we can give if we need the explicit plugin names. So we are trying to do this one. So Maven Tomcat 7 and deploy. We should do it from our project. So now it is going to deploy the Tomcat. Our application in the target system with the name of which name it is going to deploy, Hello World Web App. Okay, with this name there is no project yet created. Now if I go to our web application, and so far we don't have Hello World Web App. If I refresh it, you can see there is a new application has been created, that is Hello World Web App. Now if I click over here, it takes into our web page, and currently this file have only Hello World. From where it is retrieving this information? If I go to again my Tomcat server, clear the screen, and tree if I give. So here we have web app project, right? So from in this one, it is going to capture, I mean to say, compile this entire code, and it use the index.html, where this particular file is available in current location, dot nothing but in current location. There is a directory called src. Under src we have main directory. Under main directory we have web app. Under web app we have this particular folder. Let's go into that directory. So ls, we have src. Go inside to src. We have main. Under main we have web app. Under web app we have index.jsp. Now if I edit again this one, so quickly we are going to edit this one. So I'm just updating my source code. It means that developer has updated his source code. Again, I'm going to my /root parent directory, nothing but to execute our command, because wherever you are executing mvn command in that particular location, you should have dot uh, pom.xml. Without that name, you cannot execute your command. Let's execute. I'm going inside to src and mvn install. Just I'm trying to execute it. It is going to fail because in the current location it looks for the pom.xml. You can see here project to execute. There is no pom.xml in the directory /root web app project src. So wherever you are executing your maven command, you should have pom.xml, or else you need to give the path of your pom.xml. Okay, how to give we are going to see in our Jenkins. But for now, I'm again came back to my parent directory. Now we'll execute it because our source code has been changed. Nothing but developers has changed or updated their code. Now we want to deploy the updated code. Whenever we want to deploy the updated code, then we should go with a build and deploy. That is what we should do, right? So again, we are going to do mvn uh, tomcat 7 colon deploy. So whenever we do deploy, what it is trying to do is it is going to create a hello world web app. That is our project name we have given, right? So hello world web app, the project name we have given. So it tried to create this particular directory structure, but it is already exist, so it fails. So subsequent times, if your project is already deployed, if you want to deploy it again, then we should use a command called tomcat 7 redeploy. But we'll try with the deploy and we'll see what happens. So now what happens, it is trying to build the new code and it tried to deploy the new code on the target system. Oh, great. So deploy also worked, but we'll go and see. I'm just trying to refresh it. You can see here new code is not copied. Why? Because the web app directory is already, sorry, this directory is already exist. I'm sorry, in that whatever var file is there, if it finds var file, it is not going to redeploy it. It is not going to redeploy it. That is the reason you could still see the old code. New build happened, but the file is not copied onto the target system successfully because of the deploy command. That's the reason we should execute redeploy command. So whenever we execute redeploy, it is going to remove the target web app directory, sorry, uh, target var file and update the new var file. And now if I go and refresh it, you can see the new code that is welcome to DevOps. So this is how we can update our code and deploy it on our target server. Is it clear? Any questions? I just went little fast because most of the stuff is discussed in previous class. That's the reason I quickly run through with this one. So anyway, we are going to start a new concept called continuous integration in today's class. Uh, okay, so this is one of the key service in our entire DevOps process. I can say from now onwards, we could able to see the advantages of DevOps. Maybe you might be getting confused why we are executing Maven commands, why we are deploying this way, that way. So a lot of confusions might be there. You are going to get the most of the clarifications over here. Okay. So with that, we'll start our continuous integration topic. So far what we have done, if you do remember, we have a uh, group of people or a team who is developing code. So that code they have checked in. Why it is coming like this? Hold on a minute. Not this one. Yeah, sorry. So far what we have done, we have a group of people. Okay. Of course, we don't have. Assume that just developers are there who is pushing their code onto the GitHub repository. Initially, we tried this one, but for now, we are building our code directly on Maven. But usually, developers create their code. I mean to say, whatever archetype generate we executed, right? Same command they execute on their local laptops, and they create a project. They modify their project. They check in into the Git. Once it is check in into the Git, from Maven server, we are going to pull that one. Okay, so instead of doing all this stuff, we have bypassed the Git and we are directly creating code on Maven for the easier purpose. That is what we have done even in today's lecture. Okay, so we have code on Maven. Once we have created code, we are deploying on Tomcat server, and also what we can do, we can store it in our artifactory. Um, yes, in our artifactory, whatever outcome it is coming. But this is not right way of managing our DevOps flow. What happens whenever developer is pushing new code? Today also we have changed index.jsp. Whenever we change new code, again we need to execute a Maven command to redeploy. It is not easy process to every day we log into Maven server and execute the multiple deployments, because people may push their code frequently and we cannot able to deploy quite frequently on the Tomcat server without any automation. So the process should be something like this we are expecting. So developers push their code and Maven could able to build it, and the artifactory we are going to do the versioning, and these versions get deployed into the Tomcat. We should not deploy directly from the Maven onto the Tomcat system. We should Maven can able to only push the artifactories into the artifact repository. From artifact repository only we need to pull and deploy it on the our application server. It may be a Tomcat, JBus, WebLogic or WebSphere, any kind of application server we should deploy it. So this is the expectation. So this is what we are expecting or we want to do. So that and also all this process could be automated. So who can do all these activities? Nothing but whenever code is there, we need to tell to Maven to build that one. I don't want to go and execute Maven build or Maven package. So somebody has to tell to Maven that to do this one, and Maven should automatically do that one. Once Maven could able to build the artifactory, I mean to say, yeah, artifact, that should I want to push it into the JFrog. I don't want to again tell to my Maven that, okay, push that one into the artifactory. Once it is pushed, I want to deploy this on a Tomcat server by taking from the artifactory. So I don't want to handle Maven to deploy on that one. Why? Because Maven is meant for build the artifactory, sorry, artifact, not to for the deployment. So somebody we need to organize all this stuff. So who can do that one? That is where the continuous integration comes into the picture. Why we need continuous integration? Because the builds happen quite frequently. Sorry, the code check-ins are happen quite frequently by the developers. Maybe they check in code every day 2-3 times, or every day once, or once in two days. Like that, they are going to check in their code. Whenever they check in code, we need to initiate a build. Whenever we need they check in the code, we need to initiate a build. So we need to whenever build is initiated, it should go through with a lot of process, like running the test cases, generate artifacts, and pushing those artifacts into the artifactory. All this stuff has to happen quite frequently and continuously. It is not one day task. So if it is should happen as a continuation process, we can still do with the Maven, but there is a lot of um, manual work is necessary, or else we need to write a lot of scripts. Okay, if somebody knows the cron job, we can set up a cron job to do this some activities by writing some scripts. But we don't want to make it as a complicated. Okay, so that is where we are going to use the continuous integration. So continuous integration can able to handle it in smoother way, nothing but it won't be much difficult and quite efficient way as well. Quite efficient way, nothing but whenever the sorry, new code comes, it can able to initiate your Maven server to do uh, build. Once the build is done, it generates the artifact, right? It tells that, okay, it uh, not it tells, it push the artifactory into the uh, sorry, artifact into the artifactory. And also, if it is necessary to deploy from artifactory to it is going to deploy on the target system, all this can be managed efficiently by using the continuous integration. Now, what are the continuous integration services are available in the market? So lot of people might heard about the Jenkins. Okay, this is the one of the more widely used continuous integration tool in the market at this moment. Okay, so then Bamboo is there, Circle CA, Team City, GitLab's also there. So like this, we have various tools in this particular continuous integration. What I can say, under continuous integration. So among this, we can use any of the continuous integration tool to achieve this particular task. Okay, it doesn't mean that only Jenkins. We can use any of the continuous integration tool for this purpose. Now, people are tempted to use more Jenkins because there are a lot of advantages uh, using the Jenkins. So before talking about the Jenkins, we are going to talk about what is continuous integration. We just discussed about it. Continuous, yeah, we just discussed, but we'll talk about continuous integration. Then what is Jenkins and why Jenkins, and install Jenkins. I hope till here we can able to complete today's class. Then we are going to see create a job, what is plugin, integration, additional plugins, understanding workspace. Okay, all this stuff we are going to do in upcoming classes. Till what level we can able to complete in today's class, we'll go with that one. So this is what we are going to discuss in today's class. First, we'll discuss about the continuous integration. Continuous integration, nothing but, let me open my, okay, so let's take an simple example that you received a project to develop for your client. Assume that it is going to take 1 year. Okay, you have received one project, and to develop and to give it to your customer, you have given a timelines for 1 year. But before coming to the you get a project, there are a different phases it going to run. First, you are going to discuss with your client, and you you take the project requirements. Project requirements we are going to gather from the client. Okay, so what he is expecting out of this project, what he want to achieve it. So that we are going to gather it from the client. Okay, client requirements, sorry. Okay, client requirements. Then once we have received the requirements from the client, we are going to next phase called project design. So project design. So what we do is we will gather the project, sorry, client requirements. Then we are going to do the project design. Whenever we do the project design, we will come up with the lot of inputs that in which language we are going to develop this code, and what is the timelines, and when we are going to deliver it, what is the initial features you are going to get, and when the fully loaded application get delivered. So that is how we are going to tell to the customers. We cannot give the or deliver the all the features at a go. Assume that, let's take an example that a e-commerce website we are developing for our client. Whenever he comes to the e-commerce website, usually in previous days before coming into the DevOps, we were doing, we need to deliver the fully loaded application to the client. It is like, okay, I will give all this stuff by so and so date. It is not like that. Okay, feature by feature we are going to do. Why? Because you need to integrate all your code once it is completely developed. Then only we can deliver it. Okay, so we have assumed that project design is done, and we think that it requires a 30 developers. Okay, 30 developers to design this code, and client is agreed, and the billing is fine, and timelines we have given it as a 1 year to deliver this project. Now what happens, we are going to, our the project architect is going to design, or sorry, split into the different modules. We cannot run it as a single one, right? So they define, or they split it into the different modules like that. First 5 developers work on login page. Okay, login page, nothing but whenever you hit the application, sorry, website, it will ask for the login page where you need to fill your information, and it should get stored in the database, and everything should happen in the login page. Next, 5 developers, assume that they are working on the what I can say, billing, nothing but assume that customer has purchased the product, and once he purchased the project, how the billing process should happen, how to take his credentials, sorry, how to authenticate the payment method, whether payment is done or not, all this stuff it is going to happen, is handled by other team. Next, 10 developers are working on shopping cart, nothing but whenever we search for something, what and all information it should display, where what and all inventory it should show, all this information depends upon the keywords, what product should I need to define, all this stuff. Okay, next is shipping. Once he ordered the product, then what we need to do is we need to ship it into his address. So where the project is there, sorry, product is there, once the product is delivered, when it is delivered, after delivering, uh, when is the return policy is over, all this stuff has been developed by some other team. Like that, we have divided the 4 modules, and we have given it to the developers to develop it. Now before DevOps, nothing but assume that currently we don't have DevOps methodology, then what do? They are going to uh, develop their entire code as a team, and they are may or may not integrate their own code frequently, because the developers keep on developing their code. Once the code is completed, a particular developer, then he is going to uh, speak with the other team, and he says that, okay, my code is completed and I am waiting for your code. In this case, what happens, whoever completes their code first, they are sitting idle, or they may or may not help the other, because in between, if you go and help the other team, it may not work. So you need to wait until the other product are completed or other modules are completed. Once other modules also get completed, you will try to integrate all this code at once. All this code at once, then you can see or find out the lot of bugs, because while integrating you will feel that one team goal may not reach to the another team goal. So this team says that, okay, I was expecting so and so from your code, but that code is not delivering the inputs what I am expecting. So with that expectation, I have built my code. And previous code, I mean to say, this guys is not giving the same inputs for these guys, then it doesn't work. So then the integration issues comes whenever you are integrating your code, integrating nothing but combining all the code relevant to the project. So it may happen the person to person or team to team, this integration process issues. So to overcome this integration process issues, how it will be every day if we are integrating our code. That is what developers thought, or management thought, that okay, why can't I integrate the code which is developed by our developers every day so that we can see the progress. At the same time, in this case, before to DevOps, client doesn't have any clue that till which level my project is completed. Why? Because he cannot see any development until everybody developed their piece of code and integrate everything. If it is not integrated, he doesn't know anything. It's like a either zero, either 100%. You cannot see the in between progress in our code. Even they give some junk code that we have completed, client doesn't know whether it is really completed or not. So even client also have the good visibility that till which level my code is completed, is at least something is working for me. Okay, so that is how people thought, and they come up with a solution called DevOps. In the DevOps process, what it comes or it do, it is going to integrate the code regular basis, not the at the end of the project delivery. Okay, so it will integrate their code quite frequently, maybe every day or multiple times in a day. They are going to integrate their code. Whenever they have very little piece of code, if they find the integration issues, it is quite easy for them to resolve the issues. Because I have written some code today and some error is there in today's code, it is quite easy for me to remember what I have developed today and what could be the problem. But if I developed a piece of code today and after 1 month you come and told me that, okay, whatever you have developed 1 month back, it is not working. For me, it is like a going back and rethinking how I have developed and what was my assumption while developing that code. So all these problems get resolved if you do the continuous daily integration or quite frequent integration. So that's where we came up with a continuous integration. So continuously, if you integrate your code in daily basis or once in a multiple times in a week, the issues can be fixed as soon as possible. That is one advantage. Okay, next, in the DevOps process, the flow has been little bit changed. Okay, so the client requirements also, whenever we take in with the client, what we can do, or we can tell that, okay, initially we build a login page. So instead of saying 1 year, I will say 1 year, but I will split it into the different modules. Nothing but after 3 months, I will give the login page. So you will go and check your login page, and you can see the what is happening in the login page. So he can fill the some information and he check it out whether the validation is correct or not. Next, after 3 more months, I will give shopping page. Okay, so you can go and fetch the inventory and what and all information is there whenever you search with the keywords. After 3 months, you are going to see the billing. Nothing but you can uh, pay the product. I mean to say, you can buy the product and you can give your credit card information or your billing information, all this stuff. Next, after 3 months, you are going to see the shipping as well. Shipping information, like you are going to get a message to your mobile once your product is delivered, where, sorry, not delivered, is in the shipping. and you will whenever you receive, you are going to update in your databases. All this stuff is going to happen after 3 months. So by splitting like this, client will have the very good visibility what happening on his project, because every day he can see the development. And after 3 months, what my client is saying, my developer is saying that he is going to show me a login page. After 6 months, he is going to show me a one more tab called shopping. After 9 months, he is going to show me the billing as well. Like that, he can have the clear visibility of what happening in the uh, for his project. At the same time, for these guys also, it is quite easy or quite efficient to handle it. Once this is working, I know what I have worked over here. Maybe 30 developers only work on this particular module. Okay, once this is completed in 3 months, all these developers may go and do the shopping related module. Then they ship into here, then they move into here. Like that, the all the developers get worked efficiently. Even though they are what I can say commonly distributed, still they have the better visibility. Every day we are integrating the code with all this stuff, so all this should work collectively, not as a independently. So the this activity nothing but integrating your code in quite frequent basis, we call it as a continuous integration. Okay, so in this process, whenever I say that in 3 months, whenever they are developing, it will go with the test phase, and also pre-prod, nothing but before production, then prod. Okay, so we are going to do with all this stuff. Once test is fine, then we'll go with the pre-prod. One pre-prod is fine, then we are going to deploy on the prod. So after 3 months, customer can able to see on his production. Maybe it may not go live. Okay, there is a difference between pre-prod and go live. So while developing phase, so even though they deploy on the production, uh, it may not go live. Go live nothing but even though it is on the production server, the website may not work. It is still under construction phase, something like that. We can keep it. So the benefit of continuous integration is the efficient way of handling either client side or customer side, and also efficient way of working to resolve the issues as soon as possible, or bugs, I can say. All right, so that is about the continuous integration. Now we are going to talk about what is Jenkins. Okay, so Jenkins is the leading open source automation server. So what is the purpose of Jenkins is it is a going to do the automation. What it is going to do the automations? Okay, it is going to do the automation with the build and deployment as well. So Jenkins provide hundreds of plugins to support building, okay, deploying and automating any project. So it is going to build and deploy. In build and deploy, there are a lot of phases again. It will come in the splitted basis. We are going to talk about the all the phases. Okay, so this is what Jenkins can do, and it is an application. Okay, Jenkins is an application which manages and monitor executions of repeated jobs. It is also going to do the manage. It is also going to manage repeated jobs. Repeated jobs, nothing but every day you need to do the same activity. Every day you need to build your code. Every day you need to deploy your code. So these all are repeated activities. Repeated activities you can automate it by using some automation tools, or you need to write some scripts. So rather than writing scripts, we can use the Jenkins as a automation tool. It makes your work more easy if you are doing repeated tasks. Now, why people are using Jenkins? Okay, because Jenkins can able to, what I can say, do deploy, operate, and monitor. And also, once the plan is done, developers are going to develop the code. From here, it is going to take it. It can able to take the code and it builds it and test it, then deploy it, operate and monitor. All this stuff it is going to do. And again, if there is some problem while it is monitoring nothing but in whenever it is running on production, we are going to see how it is working. That we call it as a monitoring. So once monitoring have some issues, then again it is going with the plan nothing but developing your code. Okay, so this activity can be efficiently managed by your Jenkins. Now, what makes Jenkins so great? As I said, Jenkins is widely used uh, continuous integration tool. Okay, why? Because Jenkins is a open source. It is not a paid one. It is a open source. If you just have a Linux system or even Windows, you can install your uh, Jenkins. Okay. Next, it is easy to install. I'm going to show you how to install Jenkins in today's class. Next, easy GUI. Okay, very simple steps or a simple way of handling your Jenkins server. Very few options you will find. I mean to say it have a lot of options, but it is quite simple to manage. Next to distributed builds. Distributed builds nothing but your Jenkins have different kind of applications to manage. I mean to say your project may need Java application, .NET application, uh, maybe JavaScript or Python, PHP, different kind of applications are there. So you would like to build all this by using Jenkins. So Jenkins can able to uh, hand it over his load to his slaves. That is where master and slave concepts come into the picture. But yes, it is going to distribute his builds. Nothing but rather than I do my work, I can give it to my clients who can do the same work for me. Okay, that we call it as a build distributions. Next, track revert changes. So track and revert changes, you can track out when the build happened, when the changes to this particular code happened. Maybe it happens at the Git level, but in the artifact level, nothing but when the new build happened and when the new build got deployed and what was the changes happened in the new build, you can check it out on the in your test systems. In case something is not working, it is quite easy for you to revert it because you will have the previous artifacts. So these all are makes your Jenkins more efficient. Okay, sorry. So that is about the why we are using Jenkins. Next, we are going to see how to install our Jenkins. Okay, so we are going to see now how to install Jenkins. So Jenkins you can install. To install your Jenkins, you need a separate server. Okay, so okay. Now to install your Jenkins, you need a separate server where you can use it as a continuous integration tool. But even in Jenkins, we need a Maven. Why? Because you can build it. You need to build it. If you are not using Maven, uh, you cannot able to build it appropriately. So what we can do, you can use your Maven server as your build tool, or else I'm going to create a new server. On top of that one, we are going to install Jenkins, then as well as Mavens. That could be easy, right? So first what I will do, I will take a fresh server and I'm going to install Jenkins on top of that one. Then we are going to install again Maven. Why? Because the builds happens in the Maven server. Wherever the builds happens, there you need a Maven server, Maven setup. Otherwise, you cannot able to build it, right? So the Jenkins installation has been updated in our repository. That is Vayankil's repository. If you go to the simple DevOps project, here we have Jenkins and we have a file called Jenkins installation. This is the file you can able to go through with this one to install your Jenkins. Okay, it works. So quickly I will run through with the Jenkins how we can install. So we need an EC2 instance with internet access, and in security group the port number 8080, because even Jenkins also runs on port number 8080 like how our Tomcat runs. Then first we need to install Java. Why? Because Jenkins is a Java application. It developed on Java, so it requires a Java to install your Jenkins. So first we are installing Java. Once we have installed Java, we need to set up the environment variable. Okay, once we set up environment variable, we need to check out whether Java is properly installed or not. We need Java 1.8 to install Jenkins. Next, we can install Jenkins by using this one. Okay, these are the commands to install Jenkins. Then we can start the Jenkins and access it from the browser with the public IP colon port number 8080. So this is how we are going to set up our Jenkins server. So if you go to again, first step is we need to install Java. Prior to that one, we need an EC2 instance. So quickly, I'm going to launch a new EC2 instance. So it is Amazon Linux I'm taking, T2 Micro, and as it is, nothing to change on these slides. Sorry, screens. Name, I'm giving Jenkins server. Okay, I will give like this, Jenkins server. Next, Jenkins underscore server I'm going to give. This can be anything here. Next, we are going to choose our security group, that is DevOps SG. Anyway, port number 8080 is already opened. And I'm using DevOps key. Launch the system. Now we have created a new system, and for Jenkins, T2 micro system is sufficient. Okay, there is no issue. Okay, my Jenkins server is up. I'm taking the IP address of this one. And EC2 minus user. That's it. So we have logged into new system which we just created. I'm closing all the tabs. We may not need Maven and Tomcat at this moment, so I just closed it and clear the screen and sudo su minus host name. If you want to change your host name permanently, you can change it under your /etc host name. Okay, this is the file. Here you can change your host name. By default, it is taking this as a host name. So I'm going to give Jenkins server. Okay, I'm giving all in small cases, and this will take effect once you restart your system, not immediately. You need to restart your system, but for now, if you want to take it immediate effect, you just need to do host name Jenkins server. Okay, if I go again, su minus, nothing but you need to log off and log in. Rather than that one, I'm just again switching as a root user, so it takes this temporary effect. But after restart from next class, anyway we have updated this one, it takes as a Jenkins server, and this is commented it out, so it is not valid now. Now I have named it as my Jenkins server. So first thing is whether Java is installed or not. Java minus version, you can see here there is no Java at all. Now we should install Java. As I said, we need a Java 1.8, so yum install Java, not Java, Java 1.8. Either star I can give, instead of star I can give the name as well, package name. It is there over here. You can give the yum install minus y Java 1.8 open JDK devil. Okay, this we can give, but I'm just giving 8 dot star, so it is going to take the name automatically and install Java in our system. Yes, do you want to install it? Yes, I would like to install it. That's it. So Java installation is going to happen. If you see, even for our Maven server or Artifactory or Tomcat, for everything Java installation is necessary, right? So if frequently, if you want to install Java in AWS, we have one concept called user data. Okay, in AWS we have a concept called user data, that is AWS concept, where you can tell to your system what and all softwares it should install while it is coming up. So what you can do rather than that one, maybe you can experiment it. So choose this one same way. Now here you have a option called user data. In user data you can specify whatever commands you would like to execute on your system. So just now what we have done, we are installing Java, right? So if I just give this one, this command, okay. So what it happens whenever it is setting up your system, it automatically installs Java as well. You no need to install it again. Mhm. Sorry, you no need to install it again. Not only Java, if you want to execute few other commands, all these commands you can keep it over here. But you are while you are keeping it, you need to provide the hash escalatory mark slash bin bash. Okay, by adding this one, if you execute this one, now whenever you launch your system will comes up automatically with the Java. Okay, this we call it as a user data. User data will help us to automate some of the activities. I mean to say, before starting or setting up your system, you want to require some softwares. This command you can execute, and also you may need Git as well. Okay, you can do the Git. Okay, all this stuff you can do. You want to download Maven also, wget and Maven server URL, if you give, it is going to download Maven. You want to install Maven as well. So like that you can do the automation up to whatever you want. All these commands you need to keep it in appropriate way. Automatically it picks up and it is going to set it up your system. In later classes we are going to see how we can automatically install our Jenkins server. Nothing but I will give all the information over here, and whenever I launch it, it automatically comes up with the Jenkins. A server is running with the Jenkins. Okay, that also we can do. But that is all about AWS concepts. If I want to do more automation, okay, as a DevOps engineer, you need to think about this one. Whenever I'm executing any command, how can I do or how can I automate this one? If you are thinking in such way, you will become a good DevOps engineer. Okay, okay, but for better understanding, most of the cases I will go with manual steps in my trainings so that you can understand what happening in the background. Then one by one, we can automate it. Okay, so Java installation is successful now. Now what we need to do, we need to install Jenkins as well, right? On top of Java, we need to install Jenkins. So yum install Jenkins. I'm just trying to install Jenkins. Whenever we install Jenkins, we'll see what happens. It is saying that there is no packages related to the Jenkins. There is no packages related to the Jenkins. Sorry, Jenkins. I'm bit confused. Whenever I execute yum install Java, it is installed Java. Whenever I execute Jenkins, it is not working. Okay, so there is a reason behind this. That is, usually what happens, I will quickly run through with this one. So what happens in your system, assume that this is your system. I mean to say like Linux server. So this is your Linux system. Your Linux system is by default configured with one of the repository. Repository nothing but the list of the packages which are required for this system. By default, it is connected with the RHEL repo. RHEL repo nothing but Red Hat team is going to run a cloud repository where it puts all the prerequisite softwares. If you do remember in our Maven also, we have a repository, right? Maven have all the third-party libraries over there, and whenever we are doing build, it communicate through the internet through to this repository and install it. Similar way, even Linux system also it requires some of the operating system packages, right? So these packages it is going to pull from the RHEL repo. But in this repo, there is no guarantee that you will find everything, but it has the most of the quite frequently used or all the necessary packages which are required to set up your system. So Jenkins is quite frequently used packages or softwares on Linux system. That is the reason they have kept it over there. Now, similar way, sorry, not Jenkins, Java. Similar way, Jenkins is not the quite frequently one. So Jenkins is run in the separate repository, which is managed by the Jenkins itself. So Jenkins team says that I have a separate repository called repository. So this we call it as a Jenkins repo, just for naming convention. So if you want to get the Jenkins packages, you need to connect to this particular repository. Okay, I don't kept it where everywhere. You just connect to this particular repository, so that I am going to give, or you are going to get this particular Jenkins packages. So to now we need to configure this repository in our system. I mean to say, whenever I execute yum install Jenkins, Jenkins could able to check in this repository as well as in this repository. Okay, if it is checks in the both the repositories, it can find the packages in the Jenkins repository. Currently, it is configured only with this particular repository. With this one, so here we don't have Jenkins packages, it could not able to communicate. Now we need to set up in our Linux system to communicate with other repository as well. That already mentioned in the Jenkins installation procedure. Now if I go and Jenkins download, if I execute, you can see here Jenkins installation and setup. It is taking us the jenkins.io. This is the official website of Jenkins. Okay, jenkins.io, and there is a download option over here. If I go here, you can see the instructions how you can download your Jenkins. Yeah, here you can see here are Red Hat, Fedora, and CentOS. This is to download Jenkins 2.222.3. This is the latest version. Not this is the one. Yeah, not this is the latest version. This is the latest version. Okay. Always this is the latest version, and long-term support nothing but this is the stable version. Stable version nothing but the testing has done and everything looks good on this particular version. Those we call it as a stable version. Weekly version nothing but every week they are going to update some fixes, and they are going to release the weekly versions. Either we can go with this one or this one, but always better to use this one because this is not fully tested one. So go with the Red Hat Fedora because we are installing on Red Hat. Now you can see here Red Hat Linux RPM packages for Jenkins. To use this repository, run the following commands. So it is saying that if you run these following commands, you are going to communicate with this particular repository. Otherwise, you cannot able to communicate. So let's execute these commands. I'm just going to do the wget. All this information going to get stored under /etc m.repo file is there. Under that one it will get stored, but anyway we just trying to download the repository information. Next, they have given the key to communicate with that repository. Let's take this repository, sorry, let's take this key. So now we told that communicate this repo, and I have enough credentials to communicate with this repo. That's cool. Now we have set up the key as well. Now if I run yum install Jenkins, it is going to communicate with the new repository and installs Jenkins. You can see here this time it is identified. It has identified the Jenkins packages. Would you like to install it? Yes, I would like to install it. And it takes a while to download and install on our Linux system. Okay, so now again, if I go back, apart from Linux, we have the different flavors. That is, if you want to do the Docker, FreeBSD, Mac OS, OpenBSD, Windows, okay, generic jar packages. So this one also you can use. You can see here where packages are there. Where packages nothing but applications. So to run where packages, what you need to do? Anybody tell me, if I want to use these packages, how can I run this particular WAR file?
On Tomcat we can deploy.
Yes. What we need to do first, we need to install Java. On top of Java, we need to install Tomcat. On Tomcat, we just copy this var file and kept it under web apps directory. If you do that one, you can access the application from the browser. That you can do that. If you want to experiment, you can experiment this as well. It is going to download the jar file. Okay. Anyway, don't need it. Cancel it. You just need to take the copy link packages. Sorry, copy link address, and you need to go to your Tomcat server, and if you deploy over there, that's it. Your Jenkins will be up and running. This is the installing the Jenkins, that is configuring the Jenkins. That's it. There you are not installing at the operating system level. Var file means you are not installing at the operating system level. Yum means you are installing at the operating system level. Okay, my Jenkins is installed. Now Jenkins is a service. Again, you need to start how the Tomcat or Maven, sorry, not Maven, how Tomcat or Artifactory we are starting, right? Similar way, service Jenkins status. We need to execute it, but here we are going to use a service. Service Jenkins status. If you do remember, we have discussed about these commands. Okay, all the services, whenever we install at the operating system level, you can execute with the service. If it is not installed at the operating system level, you cannot execute with the service. That's the reason whenever we start Artifactory or Tomcat, we are using the scripts to start it, not this one. But we can configure with the service. Later classes we are going to show you. If we configure with the services, and we can enable that one to auto start with the system start. Nothing but whenever you reboot or stop and start your system automatically it starts with your operating system. Now just now we have installed, and it is in the Jenkins is in stopped state. You can see here it is loaded, but it is in inactive state. Now we need to start the service. To start the service Jenkins start. Okay, this is the command to start the Jenkins, and it is started. And if I check for the status, now it is in running state, and I can access the Jenkins server from the browser now. And netstat -tulpm, it is also runs on port number 8080, and 8080 is already opened, right? You can see here it is also running on Java, and 8080 is already opened in our security group level. Now I can access this from the browser. To access it, go to Jenkins server and take the IP address, or else most of the cases I'm going with the DNS name. Why? Because due to some restrictions in the browser. So from now onwards, I will go with the DNS names, not with the IP addresses. So here you can see here port number 8080 we are using, and I'm canceling this. And yes, now we need to unlock Jenkins. Whenever you install and if you want to log in, you should have the credentials, right? Otherwise, if I give this IP address to you, even you can log into my Jenkins. So to get credentials, you need to go to this particular location, var lib Jenkins secrets initial admin password. So in this file, they kept the initial admin password. You need to grab the initial admin password from this link. Now go here and cat, let me clear the screen, cat, and if I open this file, you can see here there is a randomly generated password is there. And if I click on this one, sorry, if I give password over here and continue, now I can able to log into my Jenkins. Whenever you log into your Jenkins, initially it suggests some of the plugins. It's like by default, whenever you are installing any application on your Windows, it is going to set up something, right? Similar way, it is going to suggest some of the plugins. We are going to talk about what is plugins in tomorrow's class, but just install the suggested plugins. Okay, suggested plugins. Next, these all are the plugins it is installing. Let it be. You can see here it is installing folders, build timeout, and you can see here workspace cleanup, pipeline, git. Okay, just to remember all this subversion, all these sorry, some of these plugins are not necessary for us in later point of time, like ant, gradle, uh, mailer, email extension, ldap. Okay, so these all are the uh, plugins which are installing by default, because they assume or they think that these all are the quite frequently used plugins. That's the reason by default they are suggesting these plugins. Let it be, but if you don't need these plugins, you can remove in the later point of time. And if you need any additional plugins, you can install in later point of time. Plugins we are going to talk in next class. Okay, let it run. Still it is happening. Okay, now we need to set up a user, because we may not to use the admin credentials all the time, and also it is not a best practice to use the admin credentials. That's the reason we need to create a new user for our Jenkins. So I'm creating a user called Jenkins. Okay, and also password also I'm giving Jenkins at 123. There is no caps in the Jenkins, just Jenkins at 123, and full name Jenkins user, and email ID Jenkins at veloxy.in. Just I'm giving some random email ID and save and continue. And now you can see here, this is the Jenkins URL. And if you do remember, we are using the public IP address. So this IP address keep on changing. You cannot use the same Jenkins URL. So I'm just ignoring this step. Okay, because if I keep the same URL, this IP address may get changed. That is the reason I don't want to do. I will use the whatever IP address it is going to generate during the startup of my system. At that IP address I am going to use it. Now my Jenkins is ready, and start using Jenkins. Okay, so this is our Jenkins console, and we successfully installed Jenkins, and this is the Jenkins user we just logged in, and this is to log off, and there are some other options we have over here which we are going to discuss in next class. Okay, any questions over here? Okay,
I
so if
want
you
to download this Dodger files on our Tomcat.
mm,
So we need to deploy the link on that for
link,
downloading the.
no, just you need to go here, take this one, copy link address, and we have already logged into our Tomcat server, right? Cat server. Okay, so you just need to go to /opt Apache Tomcat and web apps as a root. Sorry, /opt Apache web app, and here you just need to wget, and you need to download it. That's it. And if I take the Tomcat server IP address from the browser and go to manage, or else directly I can specify Jenkins over here, but you can see here there is a Jenkins is there, and if I click over here it takes us to the Jenkins. This is on another system, I mean to say in my Tomcat server. This is another way to set up your Jenkins.